So today we're going to go over how to convert phone calls into appointments, pretty much best practices, and how to make the most out of the inbound that's going on. So, Dr. Chris, you can go ahead and go straight into it.
Obviously, as chiropractors, you own your own business, you're working for somebody. You got to get people in the door. Phone calls are kind of the lifeline to the practice. It's the lifeblood. You need people to be able to call and communicate to get scheduled. So how to convert the phone calls into appointments. Obviously, you want to be prepared, you and your staff both. That first phone call with the patient is so important. That's your chance to start to build rapport with the prospective patient and helps validate you as the doctor, as the expert. So whether you're answering the phone or the staff, either one, that's their responsibility. And so you want it to be, calm, cool, collected when you're on the phone, but confident and get the point across. And you want to be short and sweet to the point, because the ultimate goal is getting them scheduled. You want to get to the phone right away. So whoever's at the desk, they should be answering on the first or second ring. Don't let it go past that. Letting it go to like the fifth ring, good luck. If you miss the call, there's a good chance if you're missing that call, they're going to move on to the next person on their list. They don't have time. If their people are really hurting, they're looking for the person that can get them in right away. And then second, move before you answer the phone. So take a breath, relax, stay in the right frame of mind. You should do that for every single call. Make sure that you set the right tone, the right energy before you pick that phone up and start answering. So we've all had that experience where we've called the doctor's office before, and most medical practices, I'd say, when I've called, the person on the other end, there's no sense of care or appreciation. They just expect people to call. It's kind of cold. They get you on the books, and that's it. They tend to put you on hold. They don't care how long they put you on hold. Chiropractic's a little bit different. We're all looking for business. It's a different game than what the medical doctors play. And so we have to push harder. So you really need to nurture those calls and take care of the calls that are coming in. So first impressions are everything. So have a script. The script doesn't have to be verbatim, but you want to make it, natural, make it your own. But make sure that the script covers what you want it to cover. Every doctor's got a little bit different message they want to convey or how they want it delivered. But make sure your staff's doing it the way you want it to sound, but in a comfortable way. So rehearse it. Best way to do any of this. Practice makes perfect. Be natural, personal. It should be like they're talking to a friend when they're on the phone. You don't want it to be cold, and you want it to be robotic. That first call, that's your first impression with the patient. If it doesn't go well, it's not going to go well. You could have a rock star that's on the phone, and they can sell to everybody that's on the phone. So whoever that is that's on the phone for you, they really have a difference of making or breaking your practice. If they're fumbling with every single call, you're more than likely going to lose those patients, or they're not feeling very confident when they come in. You're trying to make that patient feel as comfortable as possible when they walk in the door. So if they're already leery because their experience on the phone wasn't good, it's going to be a lot harder to win that patient over. You're investing in marketing, whether it's proactive, maybe you're doing some other form of marketing, maybe it's whatever it is. But if you're putting money into marketing, you want to get more than you put in back out. If you have somebody at the phone that's not doing a good job, it can be that you're wasting money on marketing because they just can't seem to close anybody on the phone. Maybe they don't ever sound excited. They just answer the phone and are like, hello, as opposed to, welcoming somebody and saying, Layton Health and Wellness, this is Dr. Chris, how can I help you? So it makes a difference.
Definitely. First impressions are everything, pretty much.
So you want your staff to have a goal, to understand. That first call, you can gain traction and rapport with the prospective patient. You're wanting them to secure time out of their day, out of their calendar for you. You're trying to get them in your practice. That's the ultimate goal. That's the purpose of the phone call, right? So make or break. Do it right or don't, and you're going to fail. If you know the goal, it reduces the pressure and stress on whoever's making the call. So Their job is not to make small talk with people. It's not to become their best friend over the phone. It's get the information you need and make them feel comfortable, make them feel welcomed, and get them on the schedule. If they can get them in, then it's the doctor's responsibility to work the magic to win the patient over. So conversions over the phone typically vary between 15 and 70%, with the technique being the largest difference. That's why practice makes perfect. Working through frequently asked questions. The more comfortable your staff is with anything that they may come across on the phone, the more likely they are to be able to close that lead, get them on the books, and get them in your office. I don't know any doctors that are doing 100% conversion rate. If you are, that's awesome, fantastic, great for you. But if they're saying in studies that most docs are between 15 and 70%, you should never be satisfied with the number where you're at. You always want to push and strive to be able to get as close to that 100% as possible. As much as we ask patients, different questions, and they want to feel like they have control, we want to ultimately take control. So you want to get control right from the start. You can ask questions that are leading questions that get them where you want them to be, where they still feel like they're the one making the choice. So anticipate the caller's needs, take control from the start. You know what your schedule looks like. So you want to ask them, does tomorrow work? If you have time for the day, if you know tomorrow's not going to work, let's go ahead and look at the next day. What's better for them, mornings or afternoons? Offer 2 times that work. So if they're coming in the afternoon, okay, does 4:30 work or 5:30? Give them a choice, but they're getting to make a choice, but those are the 2 slots that work for you. So it's still about having control. People appreciate having options, so you can have control and they still feel like they're getting to make that choice, and they appreciate that. You can always use your close to shorten a phone call that's seeming to take too long. Somebody that's getting off track, they want to get into the small talk. That's not where you're looking to be. You need your person off that call, ready for the next call, because you don't want to miss the next one that's calling in. So have them close that call up. Maybe they need to come off and say, hey, do you need directions before your appointment? I just want to double check. I want to make sure you know where you're going. Always being respectful though and waiting for the answer from the patient. Always let them know at the end, it's been a pleasure meeting whatever their name is, that you look forward to seeing them and whatever that appointment is. So it's that way you're closing it, but you're also confirming that appointment at the same time. So communication and tonality. Andres?
Yes. So just to kind of like a little crash course on communication and tonality and, voice inflection, it's very important to understand what good real communication is. And communication in itself is pretty much the duplication of an idea, thought, particle from a source point inside of a receipt point with understanding. That's pretty much the piece that's critical. There has to be understanding. If there's understanding, the communication is going to go so much easier. It's going to be so much smoother. And what happens is that when somebody feels understood, it makes everything better. They feel more comfortable. They open up. They lower their barriers, and everything's just going to be significantly easier, right? So the role of tonality and voice inflection play in the conversation is critical. When it comes to tonality and voice inflection, the key is to have a neutral tonality. We always want to be positive, but when it comes to our tonality, we want to be neutral, right? Kind of like a tree set in the ground, like we're neutral. No matter what comes our way, we're always neutral. When it comes to voice inflection, just by the inflection that we do in our voice, we can have a completely different meaning to the exact same sentence, literally the exact same words. So just to do a quick example of that, we can go ahead and say something along the lines of, all right, John, we look forward to seeing you. You're all good to go for Friday. Compared to, all right, John, you're all good to go. We look forward to seeing you on Friday. It's pretty much a completely different meaning just because of voice inflection, just because of tonality, right? So once again, we always want to be neutral with our tonality. And that's really what's gonna make people feel more comfortable. And then enthusiasm. So enthusiasm is obviously attractive. You want to be enthusiastic when jumping on the phone. because people can feel that on the other side of the phone call, right? And it is a fact that people feel attracted towards enthusiastic people. So it is a fact that if we're running inbound, either organic posts or two-step post or advertising, there's always going to be offers involved, right? If the offer is converting, it's most likely because it's a good offer, right? So we keep that in mind. We show that with the enthusiasm that we have during the phone call, right? It is a fact that it's an amazing offer, and the prospective patient on the other side of the phone, it's good for them to see that, for them to feel that, right? So people always feel attracted towards enthusiastic people. And just like I said before, making sure that they understand everything that's happening from the moment that the appointment is booked until they come in is critical, right? So pretty much we have a very specific process where we want to book the appointment on the CRM, so that they can get those confirmation messages through text and email. And then, pretty much making sure that they know exactly where the practice is located, make sure that they know that they're going to get the address through text. So making sure that they know exactly what's going to happen from the moment the appointment has been booked to the moment that they're going to come in. So we're always going to go ahead and say something along the lines of, all right, perfect. So your appointment has been confirmed. We got you in for Friday at 12 p.m. You're going to be getting a text message and an email within the next 2 minutes. And we're also going to include a little Google Maps link with driving directions to the office. So you can just click that link and you're going to see exactly where we're at. And once you get to the office, there's plenty of parking outside. You can just find a place to park, come in, and the door will be open. Looking forward to meeting you. So pretty much knowing exactly what's going to happen on that day one is going to be critical so that they can feel comfortable. And lastly, actively listening for details, right? So we want to build the habit of listening to understand instead of listening to respond, right? So when we try to listen to understand is pretty much so that we can go deeper into the conversation, right? When we are listening to respond, that's only so that we can respond, just so that we can say something. And that's pretty much the biggest difference when it comes to active listening. We want to be able to listen to understand, because the more we understand them, the more they're going to be able to feel that, the more comfortable they're going to feel, and the smoother the entire conversation is going to happen.
It's kind of amazing how far the technology's come. I've been in practice 21 years, and so in the beginning we didn't have all the the text systems that were in place, and being able to send people Google Maps, it's pretty amazing. Before it was always we had to know the exact directions to the office that we could relay over the phone. So we had it from north, south, east, west, right by the phone. So when a patient would call, you could walk them through. Now, we're just going to send it to you via text. Just, go through your text, click, and we'll get you here.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely Google Maps, driving directions make everything so much. Even though we send those driving directions, there's always people that want some additional clarification right then on the call, right? Like, hey, we're going to go ahead and send you that link. Just click on it, put on your GPS. It's going to take you straight to the parking lot. And still, every once in a while, we still need to clarify that a little bit more, right? Like, oh yeah, we are the office building right behind the red building and so on. And even though we send that information through text, there's always people that like to call in again just to ask for address and driving directions. So definitely it's a nice way to simplify that process. And then just to go over this study done by the Harvard Business Review in regards to best practices when it comes to lead response management. So this entire survey was done over using 3 years of data and about 15,000 unique leads and about 100,000 call attempts. So the focus was pretty much how should companies respond to their leads. This is mostly for inbound leads. And the mission was pretty much to maximize results, minimize the efforts, inputs and outputs, right? And many of the results in this study are based on the first call attempts. indicating how the call should be done properly on the first attempt. So we're going to share some of that data with you guys right now. Pretty much the importance of timing. So we know that we need to contact inbound leads as fast as humanly possible, right? It's important to keep in mind our prospective patients are getting offers from multiple different doctors. Every single area, every single neighborhood is different. But the point is that they got options, right? And they chose us. So speed is definitely going to be critical. The faster we get a hold of them, the higher the chances we're able to bring them in. We usually advise contacting incoming inbound leads within the first 5 minutes of opting in into the funnel, opting in into the comments section, opting in into messenger chatbot, opting in through a 2-step post. Whatever it is, the faster, the better. And we can see here the graph where we can see pretty much the amount of contacts over the response time. And we can clearly see that the best time to respond is going to be within those first 5 minutes. And it's going to 10x decrease after the first 5 minutes. Pretty much after the first 5 minutes have gone by, our chances of generating that conversion are going to be significantly reduced, right? And lastly, in those, just like I said before, in those 10 minutes, after those first 10 minutes have gone by, the odds of a response, they're going to decrease by around 400%, which is a lot, obviously.
Part of the beauty of proactive system too, though, is that, you know, our front desk staff can be sitting there, the phone rings, and as they're picking up the phone, it tells them it's a new lead, tells them it's the patient's name. So it doesn't even allow our front desk to screw up the lead time, waiting that 5 minutes, because it's already processing. So they've already clicked. As soon as they get to that point, the phone's ringing, and our staff's on the phone. They know it's the new lead, and they know it's, you know, they've clicked on that voucher for the Facebook ad. And so the ball gets rolling and we get them in the system.
Yeah, that's definitely convenient. And that's mostly for people coming directly through the funnel. Pretty much people that are coming directly through the funnel, where we create that automated call so that we can pretty much reduce that response time to the minimum. And then persistence, right? So obviously persistence is key. Are we annoying these people? No, we're not. They decided to provide their contact info through the internet because they're interested in our offer, right? So least that we can do is definitely follow up with them, be persistent. We can see the graphs here. What we suggest is usually doing around 5 to 6 follow-up attempts. We like to space them over time. We don't want to necessarily do them back to back. We can even put a day in between, but we usually suggest about 2 calls per day with a couple of hours in between, right? So between 5 to 6 callbacks or follow-ups is going to be ideal. The fact of the matter is that most people give up too soon, right? We all make assumptions. We all see maybe like their contact info. Maybe we see the phone code area. We see a name that we maybe don't recognize or whatnot. So we make assumptions. Hey, like this person is not serious. This person's just trying to take advantage of the offer that we're running. Hey, this person's probably just playing around with the ad. So we make these assumptions. And that's one of the things that we don't want to do. We want to approach every single one of these inbound leads with an open mind and being aware and pretty much understanding that this is an opportunity to create a lifelong relationship with a potential patient, right? With that said, about 30% of leads are never contacted at all. One of the reasons for that is because, once again, people make assumptions. Oh, this person's not going to work. This person's not going to pick up. This person's not going to come in. I already gave them a call yesterday and I wasn't able to hear back. So it's always important to be persistent. What we usually recommend is giving them that initial phone call. If they don't pick up, hanging up the phone call and calling them again right then and there. And if they don't pick up on that second attempt, which we're doing back to back, that's when we're going to leave a voice message. And we also like to follow that with a text message, right? Give it a couple of time, maybe a couple of hours, maybe an entire day, and then we do another attempt tomorrow, right? But most people, they give up on their inbound leads too soon. over 30% of leads are never contacted at all. And just by making a few more call attempts, conversions and appointments can increase for about 70%, which is what we want.
I think part of the problem is sometimes the staff that's at the phone can kind of forget that people have lives, right? They're at work or they have kids. So maybe you called them when they're at work and they can't pick up the phone. Call them after hours, or maybe you've called them later. So then make the next call in the morning. So it's good too to track, you called in the morning, called at night. On the dashboard, you can go and put notes that, you called at 6 o'clock at night, they didn't answer. Next time, try calling at 9 in the morning instead. Don't always call at the same time, because if you're always calling at the same time that they're not answering, good luck getting through. Just change it up.
Exactly. You definitely want to put dots together, and kind of like, okay, this person, every time that I've been able to talk to this woman specifically, it's usually towards the afternoon. This gentleman over here usually picks up during morning times, right? So that's also going to be critical.
Golden rule. Always treat the people that are on the phone with you with kindness and respect. Use words that convey that. So please, thank you, excuse me, forgive me, pardon me, you're welcome. It's nice to hear please, thank you, but you're welcome is always nice too. And I think a lot of us forget that. You want to make them feel that you value their business. It is, ultimately, it's a business. We're in a business of healthcare and providing care to people, but it's still a business. And you want to let people know that you're valuing their presence. You also want to acknowledge the fact that people are busy, they have lives. So limit the small talk, get to business. You're on the phone. You can be pleasant and still be fast. So you want them to be the focus. Find out what you need to, get them on the books and get them in. That point of that first call obviously is to get them in, but while you're doing that, you're also gaining their trust. And you want to make them feel comfortable. The more comfortable they are on the phone with you, the more comfortable they're going to be when they walk in the door for that first visit. The easier it's going to be to close that on the end when they come in on the day two. So if you're doing everything right on the phone, that improves your success rate of getting them to show up. You can be a rock star on the phone to whatever point, but if they're not coming in, something's missing. So you're not clicking with people. So maybe it's too much about you and not enough about them. But if you do things right, the show up rate is going to be good, and that improves then your conversion rate. If you feel like you've missed out on an opportunity, so we have 2 front desk staff people. If we have one person that normally makes the calls for the leads. If it didn't go well, they didn't get through, whatever it is, we don't necessarily give up on an opportunity. Maybe they say they didn't have time right now, whatever it is. We have another person at the front desk, we hand it off to them, and then it's their responsibility then to handle that lead at that point. And they make their attempt to convert them and get them in. Handling objections. Normally, we don't deal with a lot of objections over the phone with what we do. Mostly, you're just going to get some general questions, but there may be some objections, but normally not much because they've already expressed interest. It's not like we're doing a cold call business. But your staff, you should be ready for your frequently asked questions. So how much is it going to cost? So whatever it is that you're running for your voucher, or if you're doing something different, whatever it is for Groupon, they've already purchased it. But if you have a patient that's a referral, they're curious too. They want to know, what's it going to cost? You may not know. Say, we'll check your benefits when you get here. How long is it going to take? You should know what your average time is for a new patient. So say with doing the paperwork, maybe it's 30 to 35 minutes. And just tell them, whatever your normal time is. Will they get treated the first time? We treat on the first visit. Not every doctor does. Do they have to do x-rays? Again, the doctor often does x-rays, but it's not mandatory. Some docs don't have x-ray in their office, so it's not even an issue. And then what techniques does the doctor use? We don't all use diversified activator, Gonstead, Thompson, CBP, whatever it is that you use. Your staff should know what the technique is you use, because people ask. Some people have had a really good experience or really bad experience with the technique, and they're either looking for or looking to avoid. If you have to have your staff go and hunt you down to try to find that answer, sometimes that's the difference between you making the close and not. So your staff should already be prepared for that. There are certain things though that don't necessarily have to be discussed over the phone, and it's okay to let somebody know, hey, that's a little more personal or whatever it is, or that's something I can't really answer over the phone because it really pertains to like what the doctor will find in the exam. We'll take care of that when you're here for your appointment. And so again, it's a good way to start wrapping up the phone call and get them on the books. Again, so if you're going to have all those frequently asked questions, create a cheat sheet for it. So it's there by the phone. Like I said before, we used to have that with the directions, but obviously the top questions that they ask, that's important. And if they're not sure of the answer, they can come and find you, but let the patient know that they're going to get a call back. I don't know the answer right now. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? But if they say 5 minutes, make sure it's 5 minutes. I'm going to call you back in a half an hour, make sure it's a half an hour, whatever it is, stick to it. But you want to try to get them scheduled before you have to walk away from that phone if you're trying to find an answer for them. So if the doc's right there, go ahead, get the answer to the question that you need to know. But otherwise, get them on the books and then turn around and relay the information back to the patient. Like I said in the beginning, the phone lines are the lifeline to our practice. It's not all digital yet. We still need that human interaction over the phone. So whoever it is that's at the phone for you, don't neglect their skill set and help and train them and get them up to speed, because sometimes that first chance is all you get, and you don't want to mess it up.
100%. Going back to first impressions, making a huge difference. That was awesome. I have a quick question for you, Dr. Chris, in regards to for those doctors that are kind of like hiring that front desk employee for the first time, putting that front desk person in place. Can you talk a little bit about that ramp up process, that ramp up / training process for that new front desk employee that we would put in place for handling incoming calls and outbound calls?
So for us, we like to have somebody do before we hire them, they're going to do a shadow. So they get to see how our staff already runs. They get to experience it, so they already kind of know what they're in for. We use the scripts, whether you're using the success system with proactive, whether you've created your own system, but having those scripts ready for people so they know exactly what you want them to say when they're on the phone. You may not want to turn somebody loose day one and have them picking up your phone if you have another front desk person, because maybe you're not sure how it's going to come out of their mouth. So it's the doctor or your office manager sitting down and taking the time to train them and get them up to speed, make sure that the right things are coming out, that they convey the right energy, that they're comfortable. You don't want them to be shaky when they start on the phone, but the more they do it, the more comfortable they're going to get. They're going to get to know certain patients, the rapport builds, and they'll get better.
100%. I know sometimes it could be a little bit tricky, a little bit challenging at the very beginning if you have no experience doing outbound calls for people coming in, but it's just about getting used to it, just being relaxed, understanding, kind of like seeing the big picture, and it only gets easier over time. That was awesome, Dr. Chris. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a fantastic day.
You too. Have a great day. Take care.